Okay, I thought I would document fun with switch matrices. Matrices? Matrices. Either way, I'm having some switch issues, and they are extremely similar to same issues, types of issues I was having with my Data East Secret Service. So I think ultimately it's going to be a simple fix, just finding out what it is. But I discovered that during playtesting, when I was launching the gun for various different aspects of the game, that occasionally the shooter lane, well, it is supposed to fire in sync with the gun, give you some feedback, but sometimes the kickback was also firing at the same time, and you would get some random callouts from the game that you should not be getting, because you would squeeze the trigger like bam, 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 and the callout would try and start 5 separate times and not finish the callout, because it was like you're hitting a switch 5 times. So this is what I've discovered so far. Let's show you fun. Okay, I'm just going to reset the drop targets. Okay, so in switch test, fire the trigger. Okay, it says launch trigger, not a problem. What I've discovered is that, oh look, I can drop this target, not an issue. Drop this target, not an issue. Drop these two over here. Still, when I hit the gun, it just says launch trigger, as it should. Now when I hit this drop target, when I hit the gun, watch closely, absolutely nothing. See that? Isn't that amazing? Actually, you know what I forgot? The secret sauce right here. If I put a ball in the out hole, okay, this is quite the formula. Now I hit the gun trigger, look at that, left return pops up. But wait, there's more. If I hit the drop target on the right bank, down, now, see that? Left return and right return. Hitting them by themselves is fine. And just for extra fun, let's pop the ball out of the shooter lane here. Now, let's hit the trigger. No problem. Okay, so this is very similar to the Data East Secret Service. I had issues that were pertaining to the trough, pertaining to the play field, but always the trough 2 switch had to be pressed down in order to rear its ugly head. And if you don't already know, you have to rule out whether the issue's on the play field or on the CPU. And the way you do that is you remove CN10 and CN8. Okay? We'll just disconnect those. I'll show you. Fun. There are what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 pins on each. One represents each switch in the switch matrix. You got 8 and 8. So 8 times 8 is 64. That represents all your switches on the switch matrix. So then you jumper with just a piece of wire, pin 1 to pin 1. And one switch should register. Then pin 1 to pin 2, pin 1 to pin 3. One switch should register every single time. Then you do this, put your jumper on pin 2 to pin 1, pin 2 to pin 2. You do that until you've done every switch. I've done that. It doesn't take long, actually. It took like 5 minutes or less. And I have determined that the issue is not on the CPU, which is good because I've already had this board serviced. And so I know somewhere on the playfield I likely have a bad diode or broken diode or diode on backwards. But now I have to try and sort of translate the switch matrix. That's what I'm going to do next. So we got the left return and the right return. And let's see. Trough number 3, left orbit rollover. Left orbit, oh, that's like an upper rollover. Middle pop bumper. See, Nothing in this row seems to be related. But what do we got? Center drop target right, center drop target middle, center drop target left. That is related. Center drop target, the left one. So that goes to here, and then right drop target on the top. There it is. Okay. I've read about the old switch matrix box. So the four obvious switches that are in cahoots: left return, right drop, and center drop. So it's going to be, I believe, a diode on one of those four corners. Either this switch, this switch, this switch, or this switch, if I recall correctly. But where does the gun trigger come into play here? You see that? Where is the gun trigger? Launch trigger. Launch trigger. See that? Maybe I gotta expand my box to shooter lane? Is that what that switch is called? This should be shooter lane. But what is this called? We know this is sort of, this is out hole, I believe. It's actually trough number 3. Where does trough number 3 come into play? Trough. Trigger. Trough number 3. There it is. We've got a bigger box. Launch trigger. Trough 3. Left return, right return. Drop target. Okay, so there's our box. So I think, if I remember correctly, we have to focus on the diodes on one of the corner switches. Okay, so hopefully that solves the problem. I will try and do a follow-up video, but I'm going to look at those diodes now, and then I shall report back. Okay, I believe this is basically strike 1. This is the number 3 trough switch. I just removed it because it was a lot easier to remove and test the diode, and I thought it was testing bad for a second, got all excited, but no, I just had my meter on the wrong setting. So sure enough, I cut the diode off and tested it on the right setting, and it was fine. So I took the whole thing off and I put on a new diode just because it's much easier after cutting the legs of the old diode. And I'm going to reinstall that and then move on to another diode and see what I can find. But I don't think that is going to solve my problem. Okay, I don't want to get too excited yet, but I think maybe, just maybe, I might have solved the problem. So the next diode I went and investigated. Holy, come on, flashlight. Where are you? Was the one on the gun handle itself. I removed the diode and it tested fine. But I replaced it anyways because it's just better to do that and easier, and you have longer leads. Okay, so now I just stuck it into switch test, and I ran a real quick test, but I need to do it again 10 times to verify that I have made progress or not. Okay, what we're going to do is we got this top target down and this top target down. Next thing we need to do, I'm tripping over my own wires here. Stick the ball, trough switch number 3. Now here's the big test just to confirm. Oh, please work, please work. We want one switch and one switch only. If this actually is true, I will be a very happy camper, because I remember on the Secret Service I spent months basically, because I think I'd fix it and then it would rear its head, and then think I'd fix it and then it's rear its ugly head again. So it was literally months before I finally resolved the issue. Here goes nothing. See that? That is very potentially good news. I never get too excited until I've played like 100 games on it and I don't have an issue, but that is significantly improved. Let's just do one more test here. We're going to reset these target banks, okay? Hit the trigger. All good. Return lanes. Good. Drop target. Gun. That's amazing. Drop target. Oh, that is excellent. I only spent like an hour on this, not months. So I think for the first time, I'm comfortable enough to put this on legs, because that was the last issue I was having. Anyway, I think we are going to call that success. Hope that helps if you have similar switch matrix issues.